Do less, make more. This principle has been absolutely life-changing to me, and it will be for you if you get it. So if you stick around for the next 10 to 15 minutes, I'm going to dive deep into what this actually means, because this principle alone will completely change the way that you run your life. It will completely change the way that you run your business. It will completely change the way that you interact with potential clients or potential partners, because this is a major, major universal secret, and that if you apply this in your life, it will give you profound results. So let me break this down for you. What do I mean by do less and make more? In nature, in reality, what you find is that nothing is overexerting itself. Nothing is trying too hard. Everything in nature is doing just the right amount to get the maximum results. Have you ever noticed that? You think an ant is striving to do more in its life so that it can make more production for its colony? Do you think that a lion is chasing down and running and gassing itself out so that it can make its food? No. Everything in nature, everything in life is perfectly aligning with the exact amount of energy that they need to be putting in to get the maximum results. Humans are the only thing that does way too much to gas out and get less. Have you noticed that if you keep grinding and grinding and working, you burn out, and then you have to take a month-long break and completely stomp the brakes on your business? Have you noticed that if you just keep going up to woman after woman after woman and never getting the number or never getting the date or never actually making the connection, it's not actually connecting, right? It's because you're overexerting yourself. You're doing too much. Do less. And this works for everything. And there's so much detail. There's so much nuance to this that you can play with this for a long time, and it's going to come back down to this principle. I actually noticed this when I went on a date a while ago. I almost never go on dates anymore, but the time that I had actually spent with this woman, it was so interesting because in my life, I've spent a lot of time learning about these things and these principles and these types of concepts of reality, and I love to share my thoughts. I love to share the things that I like to talk about because I find it interesting and applicable to everybody in life. And what I found instead was I said, you know what? I'm going to say a lot less. I'm going to do a lot less. I'm actually just going to sit within myself and have no thoughts and want to start nothing. I don't want to start the conversation. I want to be with her and let her say the conversation. And I sat and I let her talk. And I let her talk and talk and talk and talk. And I just kind of shook my head and kind of listened. And I was in my body. And what I noticed is that she actually opened up more. She expanded more. She was excited. She was touching me more. She was flirting with me more. She was actually coming deeper and deeper and deeper and closer into me, physically as well as emotionally. And I can tell that her eyes were boring more and more and more into me because I was witnessing her. And I noticed that she was actually much more attracted to me when I stopped talking so much. It was so interesting. You would think that you need to pour into another person. You would think that you would need to do more to get more. People say, work out more and eat more to get more. And what I find is that if we're constantly pushing too much and filling the void of I need to do something, I need to be busy, what we're actually doing is we're not allowing space for the real meat to come in. A really, really great example of this in nature is when you see a lion, okay? When you see a lion out in the Serengeti, the lion isn't running and running and running and running after these antelope that are running by. It's just sitting and waiting and being super present and being super real with the opportunity. And then when it sees the opportunity, right at that moment, That's when it strikes. And then it feasts. The lion isn't chasing. The lion isn't wondering when it's going to eat. The lion knows that it will eat because it puts itself in the right opportunities and the right situations and the right circumstances, and then acts just when the iron is hot. It's like everything. The wave comes, and then the wave goes, and then the wave comes, and then the wave goes. If you're a surfer and you're out in the ocean, you're not going to worry, when's the next wave? When's the next wave? When's the next wave? No, you're just going to sit and wait for the best wave to come. You're going to sit and wait for the best opportunity. And just at the moment when the iron is hot, that's when you get on the wave and hit the wave and go all the way down and feel the surf and ride the surf, ride the wave. Do you get anxious about another wave coming, worrying that another wave is going to show up? Of course not, because you know that there's infinite wave after wave after wave after wave after wave. And if you're constantly chasing after small waves, you know what you're going to do? You're going to burn yourself out. You're going to burn out. And I learned this principle very deeply when I was practicing martial arts, because martial arts, time and time again, is such a beautiful allegory for life. My mentor said something to me that was so profound, my sensei. He said, martial arts is for lazy people. And I never understood that. And I say this time and time again because the revelation of this metaphor continually avails itself to me more and more and more in such deep and profound nuances. I said to him, I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? This is the most difficult thing I've ever done in my life. The strenuousness, my thighs are burning, my fists, my knuckles are bleeding, and I'm tired and I'm gassed out. And I'm like, how could you say that this is for lazy people? This is one of the most difficult things I've ever put my body through in my life. And then he said, you'll know one day. You'll know one day what I mean. And as I go into life, I know what he means. You have to be able to condition your body. You have to be able to have the capacity to do hard work. God won't reward a weak man. God won't reward a weak person. God's not going to give you a big task with a weak mind and a weak body. You have to condition the mind and the body to be able to handle the power. And when I realized that I had to condition my body, not work too hard, but just do the right thing long enough consistently, yeah, which was a little bit challenging, but not to the point of where I was burning out. I got good at building the foundation. I got good at the repetition, building the muscles, building the neural pathways, building the structure to know exactly what that energy feels like when it moves through my body. And not just physically, but emotionally and mentally and spiritually. When I'm out of my mind and I'm feeling the power being channeled through me, I'm like, oh, that's what that feels like. So he said martial arts is for lazy people. If anybody's ever done martial arts before, they know that it is freaking exhausting. It is exhausting, okay? When you go roll on the ground in jiu-jitsu or wrestling, you gas out in like a minute. There's no way that you could be doing full gas, even if you train like a banshee and you have crazy stamina. It is very, very, very hard for you to go full guns, full power for every round. You have to be an animal. That's not realistic for most people. So what do? How do you do this? Well, martial arts is for lazy people. A lazy person is going to wait just for the right opportunity and then strike when the iron is hot. So when you're sparring somebody, when you're fighting somebody, you're going to wait for them to slip. You're going to wait for them to drop their guard. You're going to wait for them to give you an opportunity to, boom, to go right in with the kill. Okay? But you have to have the fierceness. You have to have the warrior. You have to have the will. You have to have the ability to make the kill shot, which comes from the conditioning beforehand. Okay? You think that when the lion is watching for that gazelle to come by, that it's going to kind of be like, meh, and like maybe pat it? No, it's just going to go right for the jugular and boom, tear it apart. Right? It's going to go for the kill shot. But it's not going to gas itself out. So this is striking when the iron is hot. And what this means for your business and your life is so much, because it actually means that you have to do less. It means you have to wait more. It means you have to be more. It means you have to listen more. Because high-performing people, what they're constantly doing is they're constantly letting the narrative of, I need to be more, I need to read more, I need to do more, I need to network more, I need to more. But they're actually giving themselves empty calories, okay? Like empty calories, like reading a book just for the sake of reading a book, just to say that you've read a book, is an empty calorie. Going to a networking event just to have a better network is empty calories. Going to the gym and just lifting weights without being deliberate about it is empty calories, okay? You might think that you're doing the right thing. You might think that, okay, I'm showing up, I'm networking, I'm training, but there's a deliberate thing, a very specific thing that you have to do in that moment to make the kill shot. And it's not waiting till the gazelle passes, and it's not jumping before the gazelle is in your line of sight. It's jumping right at the gazelle at the right moment with the right kill shot. And this all comes from listening. Listening to your body, listening to your heart, but most importantly, getting out of your own way and listening to what God tells you to do. And it's going to be very, very different than what you think it's going to be. A lot of the times, it's doing less. Like earlier, I was like, I need to do the best video. I need to be fired up. I need to be the best. I need to have the zeal of life. And God literally said, go to the beach and stare at the waves and completely empty your brain. Which seems like complete nonsense. Like, why would sitting and doing nothing be the best thing you could do? Well, what's interesting is that when we're out of our brain more, when we're out of our way more, we have more opportunities that come by. We're able to wait for the better waves to come by. We could see the baby wave, we could see the medium wave, or we could see that really, really big wave. When we're walking down the street and we see beautiful women, we could see a decently looking woman. We could see a ridiculously hot woman, right? Which might not necessarily always be the right time to strike, okay? Or we could see a woman that is beautiful and grounded and centered in her own self that gives you the invitation, that gives you the signal, that gives you the open call, which will actually be a lot more of a fulfilling opportunity for you. Because sometimes the big shiny fish isn't going to be the most tasty. And sometimes the small fish isn't going to be the most filling. So how do we know what's the best fish to go to? Well, we have to tap in and think, okay, well, what makes the most sense? Like, which place do I have to go to where I'm going to get the optimal amount of fish to go fish? And then I'm going to put my net in different places. I'm going to get the right bait. I'm going to get the right lure to attract them in. Well, what's the right lure? Well, the best posture, working out, wearing nice clothes, having a good grounding, solid, strong, present energy. That is the lure that you show up as, letting God be channeled through you, through your crown, down and blasting out into your heart and in your roots so that you can show up as a strong, grounded, confident, capable man. That's the energetic lure that she's going to on a subconscious level, feel you. And there's going to be some supernatural thing, some subconscious thing that her pheromones feel in you that's like, oh, that's the person that I want to talk to. And I can't tell you how many amazing people that I've connected with, amazing business opportunities, amazing clients, amazing feminine, beautiful, conscious women that I've connected with by just getting out of my mind and getting out of what I think I need to do and just being with myself and then striking when the iron is hot. Because this is the secret, guys. Sure, you got to put in the work. You got to put in the discernment. You got to get the reps in to know what that feels like. You got to know what the iron being hot feels like. Because if you're just chasing after, oh, that sounds like a good idea, or I can, open an e-com business, or I could do all these things, these are going to be the shiny object syndrome ideas, but it's not necessarily going to be the best fish that's the most tasty, that's without parasites, that's the most healthy for you. Because sometimes the biggest and most beautiful fish isn't the best for you. And that's something you're really going to have to listen to, and that's something you're really going to have to learn about when you apply this principle. So what this principle means for you is you have to get out of your own way. Now, that's such a loaded statement. Like when people say, oh, get out of your own way, let go, let God. What the hell does that actually mean? What does that actually look like on a practical level? What it means is breathing deep, filling your body with oxygen, getting into your parasympathetic state, watching your thoughts instead of gauging with your thoughts, breathing deep so that you can sink down into your body. So you're not up here all the time. You're not, oh, I got to do this. Oh, I got to think this. Oh, I see a lot of these high performance people and they're just eating Vyvanse and they're eating, what is it, like Adderall. And they're like they're zooming all the time. There's a difference between speaking with power and excitement and zeal and conviction versus somebody that's like, and they're just zipping around all the time because they're not actually grounded. They're not actually powerful and competent and charismatic and deliberate in the way that they speak. They're kind of like in the ether, buzzing around thinking that they're getting things done, but they're actually chasing rainbows. They're chasing these phantasmos, the phantasograms or whatever the hell they're called, these phantoms. And they're not grounded and centered in their body, doing the slow, deliberate, meaningful things to empower and ground themselves in a strong constitution so that when the time is right, then they strike. That's doing less. It's not about swiping 1 million people and messaging a bunch of people and hoping something sticks. It's waiting for just the right moment. For that woman, when you see her on the street and your body says yes, and her energy says yes, that's when you strike. It's about going into a networking event and feeling in your body, who's the person that I need to talk to? And not like, who's the person I need to talk to, but being in your body and waiting and feeling and then opening your eyes and being in the energy and saying, that's when I need to strike. This is everything. This is with ideas for videos. This is with advertising. This is with sales conversations. You make more when you do less. When you're on a sales call and you're ready to pitch a $25,000 product or service to the person, this is not a battle of the will. It's not a battle of the logic. It's about being in your body and in your core and in your center to where you're so grounded in your power that through your presence alone, you transmit through your mirror neurons, through your centeredness, your power to be able to transform that person. To where you are literally mirroring back to them the energy and the presence and the will and the connectivity to God that they are craving to have in themselves. That they work with you because they see you as the man that they energetically want to become. And your energy alone speaks what they need to hear. That you don't have to talk your way into convincing them that you're the right person to work with. You have to embody the knowledge of the power that you exhibit. You have to embody that power to energetically telegraph to them the truth of what they're seeking in themselves. And then they will say, I have to work with you. There's something about you that makes me realize that you have what I want. And you don't say anything. When you say the price, you wait. When you tell them what it is, you wait. You don't justify. You don't explain. You don't tell them that they're wrong. You don't even pressure them and guilt trip them into thinking that they're making the wrong decision. You stand in your power. You stand in your conviction. because you're mimicking and you're mirroring the principles of God. Do you think that God needs to explain why he does what he does? Do you think he needs to explain why he creates beautiful flowers or animals? No, he is in his sovereign creative power, showing up as the sovereign that you show up as too. You think that God is worrying about how he's going to make everything happen? No, he just does it out of sheer zeal and love for the creation and love of the expression itself. That's who you need to be in everything that you do. And that does not require thinking, guys. The creative person isn't thinking about what they need to make. They get into the flow and they let the spirit of the genius, the spirit of the muse work through them. And it's so much easier because you do less, because you work less, because you think less, because you feel less, because you talk less. You let it happen through you, for you, and then it becomes easy. And this is how you get so much more in your life, because you're making so much more space in your body and your mind so that you can harness in more power. And if you're a high-performing individual that's stressing out, that's chugging coffee, that's gassing out, that's burning out, I guarantee you it's because you think you have to do more. You think you have to make more. You think you have to be more. You think you have to be more. You think God thinks he has to be more? He just is. You think God thinks he has to be more powerful? He just is power. You just are power. You know this when you get out of your way and you become it. You become the sovereign king. This will change your life. And I can tell you this. I can give you example after example after example. But the reality is you can't see what's too close to you. You can't see yourself if you're like this. You can't even see yourself if you're like this. You have to have a mirror mirroring back to you, pouring into you the power and the zeal and the conviction of the power that you don't see within yourself. You have to be with somebody that actively, every single day, through his purest will, channels in the power of God so that they can show up as the godly man that they are meant to be, to demonstrate and enliven and spark that fire in other men. You have to be around those kinds of men to make you see it within yourself. Because the second that you get that fire and that flame within your heart and your soul, and you feel that zeal of the power of God, that's when these things come online. That's when the power comes online. And ladies and gentlemen, that's what I do for you. Because every single person has that power. Every single person has the ability through their God-given right, the power to be able to do that themselves. But they need somebody to light that fire for them and hold them accountable to that fire, and blow and fan on that fire, and with a loving, selfless, dedicated, kind, but firm heart, direct them into the way which they don't see in themselves. They feel it in themselves. They know it's there, but they're blind to themselves and can't see it. And only a man that has dedicated himself to that path will help you see it. And that's what I do. I want to get you on fire for your life. I want to help you align with the principles of reality, because this is how reality works. I'm not making this shit up. I'm not pulling this out of my ass. I'm not thinking of some cool, crazy, nifty way in which I think the world works. Guys, this is how the world works. Nature doesn't overexert itself. Nature doesn't do more than it has to. You are nature. And it's by your overthinking that you think it has to be hard. Because guys, it doesn't have to be hard. And I want to show you how to make it easier for you so that you can maximize your life to get more out of your life by doing less, by following the cosmic universal principles of reality. That's how I help men like you. That's how I help high-performance individuals like you get from good to great. That's how I get people that are on fire to be of service deep, deep within their sense of conviction, have a deep well and a deep foundation of the principles of reality, so that the deeper they can go within themselves and their connection to God, the higher their towers can go, the more bright and beautiful and deep and powerful their empire can be as you become the conduit for the Spirit, as you become the conduit for God, as you become the conduit for power. And I will show you how to do that. I will show you exactly how to do that because it's an exact science. And you know that this is true. You know that this power is meant for you. You know that this is your God-given purpose if you step into it. If you align with it, if your heart and your gut and your mind says, fuck, yes, that's what I'm supposed to do. And I know it. And I know it. And I want to show you how to do that. So click the link in the bio, and we're going to get very clear on how to do this for you. Because every man on earth has that spark. Every man on earth has that path. Every man on earth, by their birthright, is to be aligned with natural law, to live in the principle of abundance. And that is your birthright. You just have to align with your God-given power and know the way that it works through you. And I will show you. Click the link in the bio. Because if you don't, you won't learn this, and you'll be fumbling around the rest of your life trying to figure it out. When in all actuality, the system is right here for you now.